Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
योगः कर्मसु कौशलम्.
Hello friends, this is Professor Neelam Panchal from Gujarat University and I welcome you all in this session on Contemporary Issues in Management Part 2. Friends, let me introduce you to the topic. In today's dynamic business environment, agile management has become essential to foster the flexibility, collaboration and responsiveness, allowing the organization to adapt quickly to the changes and the market demands. Innovation and disruption are closely linked with the disruptive technologies and business models reshaping the industries and pushing the companies to innovate continuously to stay competitive. Globalization and supply chain management requires businesses to navigate the complex interconnected global market while managing the risk, cost and ensuring efficiency. In this context, employee engagement and well-being have gained prominence as the organization strives to foster the motivated and healthy workflows, which is very crucial for the productivity and retention. And finally, the ethical leadership and the corporate governance are critical to ensure the companies operate transparently, fairly and responsibly, building the trust with the stakeholders and maintaining the long-term success. Together, these contemporary issues highlight the need for the adaptive, responsible and forward-thinking leadership in the managing modern organizations. Let me explain you the objectives of the session. The objectives of the sessions are to make you understand the importance of the flexibility and iterative processes in adapting to rapid changes and fostering collaboration, to make you understand the complexities of managing global supply chains while ensuring efficiency, sustainability and the risk mitigation, to make you understand the link between the employee satisfaction, well-being and the organizational performance in fostering a positive work culture, to explain you the critical role of the ethical leadership and the transparent governance in building the trust and the long-term business success, and to explain you how disruptive technologies and continuous innovation reshape the industries and require proactive business strategies. Let us start by understanding the agile management as a contemporary issues in management. Friends, agile management has become a very essential contemporary issues in the management, particularly as the businesses face the challenges of the rapid change, increased customer expectations and technological advancements. Originally developed in the software industries, agile methodologies have now adopted across the various sectors including marketing, manufacturing, healthcare and finance. At its core, agile management emphasizes flexibility, adaptability and the collaboration to help the organizations respond more quickly to changing the market conditions and the customer needs. Traditional project management approaches often follow a linear, structured process with a predetermined timelines, fixed goals and the top-down approach and the control. In contrast, if you look into the agile management, it breaks work into the smaller iterative cycles known as the sprints, allowing the teams to deliver the incremental value while regularly incorporating the feedback. This iterative approach helps the business to avoid the risk associated with the long development timelines, whereas the products or the solutions may become obsolete before they even reach the market. Now, one of the key principles of the agile management is empowering self-organizing, cross-functional teams. Instead of relying on a top-down command structure, agile teams are given the autonomy to make the decisions collaboratively, improving the innovation and accountability. These decentralized approach fosters the culture of the trust and the ownership, where the team members take the responsibility for delivering the results rather than merely executing the task. This also promotes the faster problem solving and allowing the team to pivot quickly when the market conditions or the project goals are changed. However, adopting agile management is not without a challenge, for one organizations must undergo a cultural shift to move from rigid hierarchy to a more collaborative open structure. Now, these shift requires leadership to act as a facilitators rather than the authoritative figures, enabling the teams to make decisions and experiment with the new ideas. Additionally, agile methodologies demand that the businesses invest in the training and development to ensure that the employees have the skills needed to work within the agile frameworks such as Scrum, Kanban or Lean. Despite these challenges, agile management offers significant benefits. So, what happens is it enables the companies to be more responsive to the customer feedback, and it reduces the risk of the project failure and accelerates the time to the market for the open and the new products and the services. So, in today's fast-paced, unpredictable business environment, the ability to adapt the quickly and efficiently is a key competitive advantage, making the agile management a critical issue for the modern managers. So, we can say that agile management has become a vital approach for the businesses aiming to stay competitive in the era of the constant change. By prioritizing the flexibility, collaboration and the customer driven development, companies can navigate complexity and ensure the long term success. Now, the second contemporary issue in the management is the innovation and a disruption. So, what is happening in the innovation and disruption? In today's fast-paced technology-driven world, the innovation and disruption, they are the key two drivers and shaping the competitive landscape for the businesses. As industries evolve, companies must continuously innovate to stay relevant while simultaneously preparing for the threat of disruption, often from the unexpected sources. These forces are crucial for contemporary issues in the management, as they require companies to adapt the quickly, embrace the change and reimagine the traditional business models. Now, let us try to understand the innovation. Innovation refers to the creation of the new products, services, processes or business models that deliver added value to the customers and differentiate a company from its competitors. So, friends, it can take several forms, whether incremental innovations that improve the existing products or radical innovations that transform the entire industries. For example, the development of the smartphones revolutionized the communication, entertainment and the business practices, replacing the older technologies like feature phones and landline systems. Managers must foster a culture of innovation, promote the creativity in the organization and encourage the employees to think out of box. So, these requires an organizational mindset that embrace the risk taking and experimentation. Businesses that fall to innovate risk falling behind the competitors and becoming the irrelevant in an increasingly competitive market. On the other hand, disruption, if you look into it, occurs when the new entrants or innovations radically change the industry dynamics, often displacing the established companies or business models. Disruptive innovations typically start by offering the simpler, cheaper or more convenient solutions to the niche market, eventually growing to the challenge larger, more established players. Classic examples of the disruption include Uber and Airbnb, which transformed the transportation and the hospitality industries as a whole. So, disruption can also result from the advances in the technology such as artificial intelligence, automation or a blockchain that render the existing system obsolete. Disruptive forces, it can also come from the outside the industry or from the new competitors in the market. For management, the challenge lies in sustaining innovations which improve the existing products or services with the need for the disruptive innovations that may radically alter the company's direction. So, managers must develop foresight and strategic agility to identify the emerging trends, anticipate the potential disruptions and adjust the business strategies successfully. So, these requires both an understanding of the market dynamics and an openness to change, even if it means the overhauling the traditional business practices. So, we can say that innovation and disruptions in nutshell, they are the indispensable in the today's business landscape. Managers must drive continuous innovation within the organization while being prepared to respond to the disruptive challenges that can reshape their industry. So, businesses that navigate this landscape successfully will be better positioned for the long-term growth and the sustainability. Now, let us look into the third aspect over here, that is the globalization and a supply chain management as a contemporary issues in the management. What is globalization according to you? Can you write on a piece of paper? Globalization has dramatically transformed the landscape of the modern business, particularly in the area of the supply chain management. As the companies expand their operations across the borders and enter the new international markets, supply chains are becoming a complex, interconnected and essential to maintaining competitiveness. So, businesses today are a source of the material, components and the finished products from the diverse global regions to reduce the cost. They tap into the emerging markets and increase the operational efficiency. However, the globalization also represents the new challenges that require effective management, foresight and the strategic planning. So, the global supply chains involve the coordination of the goods and the services, information and the finances across the multiple countries, typically involves multiple suppliers, manufacturers and the distributors. So, a global supply chain manager must handle the tasks such as sourcing the material, negotiating with the international suppliers, managing the transportation logistics, overseeing the regulatory compliance and ensuring the quality control, all while reducing the cost and maximizing the efficiency, right. So, technologies like a big data, blockchain and artificial intelligence, they have revolutionized how companies monitor and optimize the supply chains, making the real-time tracking and analysis are accessible. Now, one of the key challenge of the globalization is a risk management. Friends, global supply chains are vulnerable to the various external risks such as potential, tasks and then political instability, natural disasters which may occur, currency fluctuations and the trade tariffs. So, the events like the COVID-19 pandemic exposed the vulnerability in the global supply networks as many companies experience delays, shortages and the disruptions due to the lockdowns and the restrictions. So, as a result, businesses have had to reconsider their supply chain strategies. Managers are now increasingly adopting risk mitigation strategies such as diversifying suppliers, establishing the alternative sourcing model and using the technology to predict and respond to the disruptions. In addition to risk management, sustainability has become a critical focus in the global supply chain management. So, as consumers and stakeholders demand more responsible business practices, companies are now pressured to adapt the ethical sourcing, minimize the environmental impact and enhance the transparency across their supply chains. So, sustainable supply chain practices include reducing carbon emissions, ensuring fair labor practices and reducing the waste. So, these practices not only meet the regulatory and the ethical expectations, but also it helps the companies to build the trust and strengthen the brand reputation. So, we can say here in nutshell that the globalization and the supply chain management are tightly interconnected, and with the globalization offering the new opportunities for the growth and efficiency while also introducing complexities and the risk. So, the modern managers must adopt the agile, technological driven and sustainable supply chain management strategies to navigate these challenges and ensure that the businesses can thrive into increasingly interconnected and rapidly changing the global marketplace. Now, let us look into the fourth one, that is employee engagement and well-being as a contemporary issues in management. So friends, employee engagement and well-being have become a central to the organization's success in today's competitive business environment. Companies increasingly recognize that engaged and well-supported employees, they are more productive, innovative and committed to the organization's success. So these two factors are closely linked. When employees are engaged, that are more likely to experience positive well-being, and when they are well supported, so their engagement levels tend to rise, and therefore focusing on both the engagement and well-being is essential for creating a thriving workforce. Now, what is employee engagement according to you? Employee engagement refers to the level of enthusiasm, commitment and the emotional investment employees have towards their work and the organization. Engaged employees are more likely to go beyond their roles, contribute the ideas and foster a positive work environment. However, achieving high level of engagement requires more than just a monetary incentives or the perks. It demands creating a culture of trust, recognition and open communication. Managers must actively foster an environment where the employees feel valued, involved in decision making and aligned with the organizational goals. So, regular feedback, opportunities for the personal and professional development and a sense of purpose in their work all contribute to the higher engagement levels. Employee well-being, if you look into, on the other hand, it focuses on the overall physical, mental, emotional health of the employees. So, well-being initiatives aims to look into that. It reduces the stress, it promotes the healthy work-life balance, it gives a creative and the supportive work environment to the employees in the organization. So, companies are increasingly offering different programs that promote the mental health support, fitness initiatives, flexible working hours and stress management workshops, right. So, the COVID-19, we all know that it has underscored the importance of the well-being, with many organizations shifting to the remote work and re-evaluating employee needs for the flexibility and the work-life balance. So, companies that prioritize well-being help the employees manage the stress and prevent the burnout, which leads to the increased productivity and reduced turnover. Organizations that successfully integrate the employee engagement and well-being reap numerous benefits such as high level of the job satisfaction, retention and loyalty. Additionally, these organizations experience better organizational performance as engaged and well employees are more motivated to contribute to the company's success. However, the challenge for the managers is maintaining a balance between achieving the organizational goals and ensuring employee satisfaction. It requires a holistic approach where well-being and engagement are seen as ongoing processes that requires the constant attention and adaptation to changing needs. So, we can say that employee engagement and the well-being are the critical component of the modern management with direct implications for the employee productivity, retention and the overall organization health. So, by fostering a supportive environment that values both the management, engagement and a well-being, businesses can build the resilient, high-performing teams capable of navigating today's competitive landscape. Now, let us try to look into the ethical leadership and corporate governance as a contemporary issue in the management. So, friends, ethical leadership and a corporate governance, these are the two words which are very, very important. It has emerged as a critical component of the effective management nowadays, right. So, in an era of the ethical leadership, we need to look into the heightened transparency, regulatory scrutiny and increasing public accountability. Ethical leadership and a sound governance practices are very, very important for building the trust, for maintaining the reputation and ensuring the long-term success of the organization. Ethical leadership and a sound governance practices are very, very important for building the trust, for maintaining the reputation and ensuring the long-term success of the organization. Now, what is ethical leadership? Sometimes it is pretty confusing, the leadership and ethical leadership. So, ethical leadership, it refers to the practice of leading with the integrity, with the honesty and responsibility. Ethical leaders serves as a role models within their organization, setting the tone of the ethical behavior and decision making at all the levels. They demonstrate the transparency, fairness and accountability, fostering a culture where the ethical conduct is the norm. Such leaders are committed to doing the right thing even when it is difficult or may not be immediately profitable. So, ethical leadership encourages the open dialogue where the employees feel comfortable raising the concerns, reporting unethical behavior or suggesting the improvement without the fear of retaliation. Leaders who emphasize ethics empower the employees to act with the integrity, which leads to the higher level of the trust and the morale and the engagement. On the other hand, if you look into the corporate governance, then it refers to the systems, principles and the processes by which the company is directed and controlled. So, it encompasses the structure and the mechanism that ensure the company operate in the best interest of the stakeholders, including the shareholders, employees, customers, society at large and so on. So, good governance involves establishing the clear roles and responsibilities for the board of directors, ensuring accurate financial reporting and implementing the robust risk management strategies. So, corporate governance includes the addressing the issues such as compliance with the laws and the regulations, managing the conflict of the interest and safeguarding the shareholders' rights. Together, if you look into the ethical leadership and the corporate governance, they promote the long-term value creation by ensuring the business decisions are made with the considerations of the both financial outcomes and broader societal impact. So, in an environment where the corporate scandals, fraud and the misconduct, it can quickly erode the trust. Having the strong governance framework and ethical leaders is essential for protecting the company's reputation and sustaining the operations. So, managers today are expected to navigate not just the legal requirement, but also the ethical dimensions of the decision making. This is particularly important in the age where the stakeholders, including the consumers and the investors, they increasingly focus on the corporate social responsibility and expect the companies to demonstrate the ethical behavior and sustainability. So, we can say that these two are the contemporary issues in the management and they serve as the foundation for the trust. So, in nutshell, we can say that the ethical leadership and the corporate governance are the key contemporary issues in the management and they serve as the foundation for the trust, transparency and the long-term organizational success. So, the organizations that prioritize these principles are better positioned to navigate the complexities of the modern business environment while ensuring the accountability and the ethical conduct. So, by now we are clear with all the fundamentals of the session and we have tried to see the contemporary issues in management. So, let me conclude the session. In this session, we have tried to learn how the ethical leadership and the behavior as well as the corporate governance is playing a very important role. We have also tried to look into that the newer environment has changing and the business has changing, and with the looking into the stakeholders reactions and the stakeholders demand as well as the expectation, employee engagement, employee well-being is also very important. If we consider all these aspects which we have discussed in the session, I am very sure that any organization can get the success. I hope you are clear with all the fundamentals and you will implement the fundamentals in your life and in the organization. I hope you like the session. Thank you.